In terms of God's design of the world, how did he design the botanical universe? Plants. Well, they all are designed to reproduce. How did he design the biological universe? To reproduce. How did he design what I call the ecclesiastical universe? Even calling it the body. That the concept of reproduction in terms of individual disciples, as well as reproducing clusters of disciples who are continuing to make and multiply disciples, fits right in with the original vision of God for his people to fill the earth and manifest his purposes in every sphere of life. And so, yes. Now what's interesting is a lot of churches, again, reflecting a lot of Western thought, which has infiltrated so much of our evangelicalism. When they think of churches, planting churches, all they can think of is an individual church planting a church, planting another individual church. And again, that reflects our privatized, Western, individualistic understanding of Christianity. When the Apostle Paul, when he would write one or two of his prison letters, he wrote it to the church at, and then you look at Galatia and you see that these are churches. It's church capital C. And it's often very unwise for a smaller church. And I'm not against small. I don't think small churches are bad and large churches are good, or the reverse. You know, there are a lot of people that think small churches are good and big churches are big. I mean, you can go either way. But this concept of the church being the church in a particular community or city, that's meant to be a collective community of communities. And so the idea of churches planting churches, there's nothing more rich than churches connecting with other like-minded churches that have a heart to see the invisible kingdom made visible over the darkness and the crookedness of a particular city, and joining together as individual communities, yet one collective, capital C, and saying, we will give our money, we will give our people, we will give a certain ministry team for 6 months or for 12 months. And it's a part of our whole ethos. I think the DNA for church planting normally has to be planted when the church is started. It's very difficult to come into an established church and have that church actually see as part of its mission the concept of church planting. And what I think should be normative in light of these concepts is I think that the idea of having a church planting, what we call a church planting intern, it's just assumed that, if we're talking here, we're talking about budgets in the West. If we have a budget, it's just kind of like, we have a budget for this position. We need somebody to help with children. We need somebody to help with the poor. We need somebody, and we've got this for our church planting intern. And just like there are, I don't care what church you go to, you will find people that those churches assume that they're just a vital part. We couldn't have church if we didn't have these leaders and be allocating resources for them. Well, that should be the mindset. It should be not a special project now and then when we get a quiver in our liver and we think God wants us to be missional. It's systemic. It's organic. It's who we are.